A lot of conversation. I know you're not on social media, but I'm sure you've heard the talk. Let's discuss Lance McCullers last night, what you saw from him, what you might have seen from him tipping pitches. Let's start with Lance last night.
Yeah, I think that's the easiest place to go when you give up 5 home runs and guys are sitting on pitches. To me, look, if a team has one thing, if they can eliminate one thing, then hitting's easier. So sometimes you eliminate one thing by your glove and tipping your glove. But I think his style of pitching last night and the evidence leading into it, look, the Philadelphia Phillies knew he wasn't going to throw his fastball. And if you don't throw your fastball to left-handed hitters, you can sit soft. And if you sit soft, it's going to look like you're sitting on things that you know is coming. And there really wasn't a variance between his breaking balls and the quality of them and his changeup. So when you're working in a range of 80 to 86 miles an hour, you can hit some of those pitches you normally wouldn't. The element of surprise is what makes hitting so difficult. If I buzz a fastball at the top of the tower, now you got to think about that. And I really think he just didn't execute. Now, whether or not he was tipping or they had something, that's going to be determined the next time around. But you look at film and you look at things and you can pick things out, but he changes a lot of his deliveries, a lot of his action on the mound. So I wasn't convinced, but I'm not opposed to thinking that Philadelphia definitely had his number, because the quality of his pitch selections and the quality of his pitches, I think he would say just weren't good enough yesterday. He had 5 strikeouts.
Right.
So either those 5 people didn't know what was coming, or he made good enough pitches to strike out those guys.
That's a good point. So even if they did have something, we've seen a trend, which we've talked about, of in the playoffs and specifically later rounds, he goes away from that fastball. And you and I talked about that start in 2017 against, or that outing in 2017 against the Dodgers, 24 curveballs in a row. Is there something to that where he just shies away from the fastball in the postseason?
I think there are moments when fastballs get hit and he might just put it in his pocket. I don't think that's the right approach. He may not feel comfortable with his fastball, but when the statistics scream you're not throwing any fastballs to left-handers, what a left-hander's going to do? They're going to sit on these pitches, and they got him. Right-handers, he threw a couple more sinkers, but you have to be able to execute at this time of the year. You're facing a hot team, great teams. And you know what's interesting about even knowing what's coming? Some hitters in the league don't want to know because they get out of themselves. They get too aggressive.
Yeah.
They get too big. So pitching it's the nightmare. It's our recurring nightmare as a pitcher. You make sure you have people watching you so that you're not giving a pitch away, because if you're giving a pitch away, it is a awful feeling, because the last thing you want to do is give pitches away to a hitter who already has a disadvantage, but you tell him what's coming. Look, I wasn't a great hitter, but when we were a terrible team, we prided ourselves at stealing signs when we were on the field from the catchers, what his signs were. They gave me a fastball, and I knew it was coming. I got relayed from second, and I said, I'm going to pull this sucker in left field. I didn't pull it, but I did hit a home run, and it made me realize, oh my gosh, if you give away anything as a pitcher, you are feeding into a hitter's strength and their ability to do damage.